Well, hello, Laura Maven Star.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good. We are live.
Awesome, cool. And on the eclipse day too.
Yes. This is actually quite the perfect day.
It is. I was just thinking about that.
Very perfect. In fact, when I was looking into that, it was what's cool about it is it's a hybrid solar eclipse. So it will only be seen in certain parts. And I was just remembering we actually saw a total solar eclipse back in, I think it was like 2017,
Uh-huh.
and we were right in the line of the um, total eclipse, and I'll just never forget. Tears were just streaming down my eyes, just down my face because
Hmm.
actually Mark too, my husband, because it was just like so profound feeling. It was like you touch the infinite in those
Mm.
moments. It was really awesome. Anyway,
What month was that? I'm trying to remember. 2017. Was that in
that is,
September?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, yes, I remember that. I totally had like, oh my gosh, I do remember that because I think it was the most profound um astrology event that impacted my energy field since December 21st, 2012. And I remember that because, like, I became like Energizer Bunny. I
yeah.
mean, like, that whole evening, that day, and like, I couldn't even sleep that night. It was like off the charts.
Yes. So I think
And
we're moving into a similar energy today,
yes, yes, I
but
know.
different, different.
It's very different. Absolutely.
We can talk
Absolutely.
about that.
Yeah, let's do that.
But
Wonderful.
I thought maybe just a couple minutes even, if
Hmm.
we wanted to just take a moment and ground into this moment, this topic, astrology, and
Hmm.
really tapping into celestial beings and just kind of bringing that together a little bit. Just
Yeah.
intuitively, whatever comes to our mind.
That sounds good. That feels really, really good. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sweet. I've got some light music we can even use, which is a deep transmission of um, Gaia consciousness. So,
Mm, beautiful.
for our discussion today, we're going to tap into celestial energy. We're going to forget about what we know as a planet, what we know as a star, and think about celestial beings. Laura's name, Laura the Maven Stars. Very relevant for today, right, Laura?
Yes, it is. It's something that I adopted in 2017. However, which was interesting, you were just talking about that eclipse of 2017, and yet I didn't really feel in alignment with it until just a couple months ago to show up my cosmic origins and a deeper interest in the cosmic origins of my own star seed origins, where I come from. And, just really felt like it was time to begin to just really co-create with this new name, which I'm loving.
Yes. Yes, and if we're all watching, start thinking about your cosmic energy of soul, spirit.
I couldn't quite hear all of that.
What is the cosmic origins of our soul? Cosmic beginnings. Maybe there is no beginning and there is no end.
Yeah, we are the Alpha and the Omega. And I love that, because that truth that is deeply hidden within us, to me, is very hopeful and inspiring, because it means that we never have to be limited or locked into a philosophy, a concept, because the truth is we're always changing from the inside out. We're always in change and flux. And to me, that's just really gives me a lot of hope, because it means I can never really be stuck, right? We can never really be stuck.
So we're going to let go of preconceived notions and open the mind, open the heart. We're going to dive into a topic today that is the profound science of astrology, and what that really means, and how we are to move with the energies in harmony. And let us not forget the beautiful consciousness of Gaia. So you like that?
That feels really, really grounded in, and feel like a nice warm connection to Mother Earth, and opening up this beautiful cosmic channel. And anyone who'd like to tap into that and just align yourself with your own cosmic soul origins, trusting your I am, your higher self, and maybe inviting in your divine helpers to connect you to your own beautiful light stream coming down from the heavens through the body, rooting you deeply into the pure heart of Mother Earth, the new Earth that we're all creating together to launch into the age of Aquarius, the golden age, a new timeline, a new beginning today. This powerful Aries energy eclipse, hybrid eclipse, helping us, boosting us.
This eclipse is beautiful. Aries is the energy of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Think of divine warrior, courage, bravery, standing strong.
And coming into the working with the Taurus energy of Earth, and really grounding this energy into the Earth, to the Earth plane. And can you really feel that in your body? And just opening to feel the truth. Your body is the number one guide, or can be. Your body never lies and always will tell you the truth, no matter what is happening around you. And I love that, because my body oracle is such a precious truth tool.
Yes, ground into our bodies, into that womb area, into the belly button, into the vagus nerve, into the pineal gland, the antenna, into all the aspects of the body. The sacred form.
Beautiful. Just feeling that inner expansion in my own soul anatomy, expanding throughout my body fields, aligning me to my celestial tree.
So it is.
And so it is. Thank you. Beautiful. Mm,
Hmm.
Great place to start. Just feel so held by Cosmic Mother and Father and Earth Mother now with that beautiful opening meditation.
Yes.
Peaceful and calm, and we need more of that today, I would say, right? Well, who doesn't want more of that?
Every
Yeah,
day, every day, but
every
some
day.
more than others.
Absolutely more than others. Yeah.
I yeah, so we in our first episode, we talked a lot about um the energy of the healer, and um actually this Aries energy is coming into Jupiter, Eris, and Chiron. So we have the wounded healer in here.
Mhm.
Um, and then, of course, Pluto in Aquarius. And woo! So I think, it's really, I think we can really, the kicking off of 2020 in Pluto. Saturn met Pluto. Pluto has a lot of influence, but the interesting thing is that when we were kind of looking at mapping things out, and the interesting aspect to this is that there's a lot of energies that are waning, and that
Mhm.
being of Pluto too, which I have some notes that I'll share later, but
Mhm.
it's just interesting that this is all connected in today into this eclipse. And then we have the warrior aspect of Aries, which I think is really powerful for all of us to remember um, what a warrior really means, the roots of it, being
Mm,
a protector, being someone with courage and valor and integrity and truth, like the real ancient meaning, not the distorted meaning that we can see in what has been created, which is war. So
yeah, that's a great point because I really feel the call of the rise of the light warrior, or you could say even the shadow warrior. They both have their purpose. They both have um their sort of universal jobs, if you will. They're to me like an overarching archetype,
yeah,
and I do feel like it needs to rise up and to take a stand when we need to take a stand against certain influences of energies that are not for our highest good and are
yeah,
trying to warp our reality, to warp us into being deceived into an illusionary energy that's not real,
yeah,
that's not, the ultimate highest truth according to the universal divine laws that we're all supposed to be under
yeah,
throughout the cosmos and operating within. And it's very, very important, I think, today to hear this call and to allow that light warrior, to come forward and to begin to show up and take a stand, to become rooted into our body fields, become rooted into the earth.
yes,
And I
hmm,
feel that's part of our reclaiming our sovereignty.
yeah,
And it's not like an energy of, I'm going to beat you up or I'm going to condemn you or I'm going to make you wrong. It's not that type of warrior energy.
no,
It's a warrior energy that shows up with equality and justice and divine neutrality, with great, deep, deep compassion for all of life. And like Divine Mother and Divine Father show for us each and every moment, the divine compassion to give us the free will is a gift from the universe to, make choices that aren't always affirming life, that aren't always for, life, and or aren't even, rooted in love. We've all made those choices, we've all been there on that playing field. So I have no, right to condemn anyone or anything. It's not up to me to do that. But
They'll
I-
do that in their own
yeah,
review of lifetime.
it review life review, right? Soul review. Everybody gets that when they leave the body in
Yeah,
the death, rebirth, transition, because we're all, I think, at deep levels self-governing, because we're all an aspect, a fractal of God Goddess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in my words, I would say primeval creator.
Yes, yes, yes. Love that. Yeah, we are. And
Yeah, we are.
how fortunate are we, as difficult as challenging as these times are, to be embodied and to get to be boots on the ground, to get to experience these beautiful changes in the birthing and beginning of the new age of Aquarius. And my body is just chills all over the place. We get to be the ones to experience it in earth form, in a beautiful sacred vessel. And who knows how many souls wanted to come in to this incarnation for this. I mean, that's truly a gift. And I really, for
Yeah,
myself, you know, practice
and a
gratitude
choice.
and a choice, right?
Yeah,
But practicing gratitude for my blessings and making that a priority every day, to, despite whatever the fear or whatever the insecurity or whatever the chaos is that's trying to come in, remembering that I'm a divine soul, and that this body is impermanent. It's not eternal yet.
sacred.
It's sacred, and that each moment I am here, I'm enormously blessed in every moment, no matter what's going on. you know.
Yeah, it's
And
the cosmic medicine because it is the it well, in fact, the white light warrior aspect has been a bit. I mean, I've truly realized this for many, many years, and I never quite understood the energy that I was carrying. But when you understand
Mhm.
these energies more, and I have a quiz on my disruptnowprogram.com site because I think there's a lot of people that are like, they feel this igniting within them, and
Mm.
it feels a little confusing. Like, I don't know what this is, but man, I want to, I want to affect change, and I want to do something. Let's do something. So it's this rising energy, and it's powerful, and it's, you know, and so I think like when you understand truly these energies that are within you, and that we have, that really all have access to, and
Mhm.
we can utilize those energies for positive change, transformation,
Mhm.
like massive transformation, that kind of changes the way that we look at energies, which actually is why we're going to talk about astrology. Because, and again, I want to just state, I would never call myself like an expert astrologer. I'm,
Yeah, no.
yeah, no, I don't have charts and charts and like lines, Although if I had an observatory and I had all access to this stuff, I could probably, we'd probably be expert astrologists. But this galactic evolution and is about revealing. And so, one thing that we wanted to talk about is the more that it's profound. It's way more profound than just looking at your birth chart in this myopic way of like, well, my personality is this way because I'm this. Because it's very small, and it's a very tiny piece of a much larger picture. And
Mhm.
also, we're not getting into the depths of all the aspects of astrology, meaning before this Gregorian calendar, which is not the original blueprint calendar, how do we tap into the energies of the before time, and then those energies connected into a before time, before time, before time, so
Mm.
ancient, primordial aspects to what astrology means. um,
Mm.
we can get into that today with some of these things, that we, Essenes. I have some information I want to share around ancient builder race of the Syrians and Pleiadians, and the Arcturians, and really tapping into how did they use energy. And anyway, we have a lot of things to that we can explore here.
Beautiful. I can't wait, and ready to dive in. And I did a little bit of research as well. I can share if we have time or if we like. But yeah, why don't you launch us into that discussion or conversation?
Yeah, well, one interesting thing that I dropped in here was cosmology, which
Mm,
is connected into what we can say as astrology, because the
mhm,
etymology of cosmology, meaning the word cosmology, is that it's ancient Greek and it means um, cos cosmos logia or logia. So it's the study of the world. So it's physics
mm,
and metaphysics of the natural universe or the nature of the universe.
mm.
So, and what is the nature of the universe? Like, if we get to it's energy. Energy.
Yes.
So, I guess we can kind of think about this. This goes into even thinking about, Lauren Maven star and that taking on this name, I think. But the magic and the mystery, really lies in, a lot of us that are connected into the higher wisdom, and we tap into that infinite intelligence consistently because of the connection to higher self and all the multidimensional aspects. We it's not even a question as to the fact that all these things that we've called a planet, they're not planets. They're not what we call stars. They're truly like celestial beings. They are alive. They're conscious.
Mm,
They have destinies. They work with the earth, with
mhm,
our, and they work with each other, and everything is like this harmonious, beautiful balance. It's not chaotic. It's not, these aren't round little planets going dur, 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 I mean, it's like so we need to like totally change the way we see these beings, and that the sun is alive and conscious. Gaia is the earth, so that's I think part one of where we can start rolling. So when you were taking on the Maven Star, that I think that story is relevant because of the aspect to celestial being and that word star.
yeah, and at the time, it was in October of 2017 when I took the name on. I mean, that's when the name came in, and at that time, I was going through a deep shamanic, kind of, renewal process and shamanic priestess process, and that name came in, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool," but it was really aligning me to my cosmic soul, my cosmic higher self, because I actually went through a walk-in process that year, and that was something I didn't ever know was coming. It just kind of came to me, and it started happening in the spring of 2017. Well, really, it started happening in January that year, and I started to integrate about 13 or 14 higher self aspects of my oversoul. And then that led me to going to the south of France in June of 2017 and spending 2 weeks there, and my whole life shifting, my whole trajectory and timeline shift that I went through. And then in October, I did this shamanic training, and then this name just, kind of rolled in. And I'm like, wow, I'm really getting in touch with my higher, what I call star essence, or my cosmic soul really started to come deeper into the body and integrate. So, I think that when I look at this time, Natalie, in the beginning, we're in the beginning stage of the age of Aquarius. This is all about our celestial tree, I call it,
Yeah.
opening up to reconnect with the higher dimensions of our cosmic origins, of our cosmic soul, and to begin to
Yep.
remember and awaken those connections and bring them down
Yep.
literally to the earth, because we are the bridge. Right? We
Exactly.
are the chalice, we are the bridge, we are the intermediary,
Yeah.
between heaven and earth, as above so below.
Yep.
So I think this is really exciting, time to be alive, and that, all of our viewers, our community, you also can discover your cosmic soul origins and
Yeah,
and also the gifts that come with that, right?
a
I
lot
think
of gifts
a
because it
lot of
opens
gifts.
channels and it
Mhm.
opens, I mean, my dreams. And here's the interesting tie-in between Laura and I is that I had the similar experience of choosing, well, it's a longer story, but there was in 2016 this same boom, you choose now. The cosmic
Mm,
soul came in, all dimensional being. You choose now which way you want to go. Continue the corporate materialism route that it because it was going to take me down a very negative path, and I felt that divide happening coming,
mm,
and I said no. I'm choosing what I'm here for. I'm choosing my mission because it's time.
mhm.
And left literally that Monday after talk about a shamanic weekend. That weekend was immense, but similar experiences and similar time frames. So I
Mm.
find this really intriguing.
Well,
And
what month was that in 2016? Do you remember what month that was,
I want to
by
say it
chance?
was in April or May.
Interesting,
Yeah.
because in March of 2016 is when I left my corporate life. I left my 35-year career in corporate life. I decided that enough was enough. I
Yep.
wanted to step fully onto my own, spiritual purpose and passion and mission to a
Yep.
deeper degree. So very interesting that that year,
Right.
2016, as I understand it, was a very pivotal year.
It
One of
was.
one of the pivotal years, it was 2016. I think 2019, maybe, I don't remember, but yeah, that's really interesting. That's really cool.
It
Really
is.
cool. I love
It
it.
is. I love it too. And it also, um, if we think about this as okay, so we have celestial beings, we have your cosmic, we have locked ourselves into cosmic soul level, and that's where we know we have these connections of the cosmic, dragon energy, which, by the
Mhm.
way, this will be a future episode, I bet. No, we'll definitely need to do this. What does dragon really mean? It's
Yes.
not what people think.
No, it's not at all.
But then there's all these aspects, there's however many, 12, 14, different aspects of self that you
Mhm.
can tap into, so really the avatar. But what we have to, and when we're speaking to astrology, we have to remember that these celestial beings have the exact same makeup, meaning they are multidimensional as well. And I think that if we think of the metaphysics of what that really means, their makeup. Now, I think I've had some intense visions. Maybe we'll get into that if we have time. But you know, their makeup with the subtle. They have subtle energy bodies. They have a physical manifestation.
Mhm.
They're literally. It's like it's as above, so below in all
Mhm.
ways. Always. So I think that helps us realize that frequencies coming in are with purpose. They're not happening to us, they're happening with us.
Oh, absolutely, and for us, and
For
I
us, yes.
for us, and I think that's where the astrology can be it can be a really powerful tool that the ancients used, including, the Celts and the Essenes, and in my research, it was even something that in Babylonian times that they were tapping into. But again, I sort of question the foundation of those systems. And like I was just reading, the Babylonian one was based on Islam and the lunar. I don't know about that. Like, I think that there are, again, varying degrees of truth,
Yes.
and how much in alignment are they with the divine universal laws, and not skewed by some, you know, human lower consciousness, you know, sort of
Yeah.
uh, interpretation of, those astrological alignments in the celestial
Exactly.
stars.
That's why anyone that touts that they have um, doom and gloom kind of energy around
Mhm.
these aspects, I know are like false, because negative factions want to create fear
Mm-hmm.
and sorrow and grief and taking people out of their power, out of that's really what we're talking about here, is how do we
Mm-hmm.
use energies true. And I think maybe we should define astrology for us and the way I think it's cosmic medicine for the sacred soul. Like, how do you use energies? How do we play with
Mm-hmm.
the fabric of all that is?
Yes.
Not And it's always for the higher good.
Always for the higher good. And
If
how
we
can we
choose to
shift
see it. Yes.
as we choose to see it? And are we looking at it through conscious eyes, or are we looking at it through unconscious, wounding and trauma and,
Yeah.
like you brought in, Chiron, the wounded healer coming up again for us to go deeper into the subconscious, held within our body, to really like maybe take a peek, to say, okay, we're all made of light and shadow. We all are.
Yep.
And so,
Universally so, again.
yeah, and these celestial beings, these, multidimensional frequencies of the heavens are trying to uplift us. They're trying to maybe educate us, inform us, instruct us on, here's your unique birth chart. How can you go and use your birth chart to elevate, your highest potential in this lifetime?
Yes.
You know,
See where there are spots of opportunity. I don't ever call them a weakness. I don't ever call things failures. I call things
yeah.
opportunities. It's the medicine woman essence, is finding the medicine in all
Mhm.
things. Even things that were like, really?
Mhm. Yes, and that's a great, that's a wonderful reminder and perspective to always look through that higher lens that I call the higher self, or, your soul, because that's going to give you the higher viewpoint from the higher realm, where, the divine laws are reflecting to us that there is no sort of right and wrong. It's not really that. It's everything is held in unconditional love and grace.
Yes.
And can you bring that to your perspective? Can you bring more compassion and grace to the situation that might be really, really difficult you're going through, or chaotic or challenging?
Yeah.
Can you bring that in to bring balance, so you can balance and walk through those energies and not allow them to carry you down the rabbit hole of negativity?
Yes. That's it. Because it's actually, I heard this. There's an old adage somewhere. I have no clue where I found it, but it's the stars incline, they do
Mhm.
not compel.
Hmm.
So it's not like you're being grabbed and being like, you're gonna move over here. It's not it's not this wrath energy that like religions carry, of fear and mongering and moving you around like you're puppets and you don't matter. It's actually you reclaim your power by seeing the higher wisdom and way to ascend in your consciousness
Mhm.
through these, what feel like complete distortions of moment in your life. I mean, I think most of us here on this planet are dealing with massive healing journeys because we have poisons at every turn. So do we
Mm.
there are times when I'll sit there and think, all right, uh cosmic oversoul, we have some things to discuss. Cuz no. No,
Yeah.
no, we should not have allowed this to get to this degree here, because this suffering is not necessary. And some would say, well, is it necessary? And I would, there we can have that's a whole other topic. But
Yeah.
either way, there's moments and days where it's difficult. And I think that if we can all understand, like stand from a place inside of us to see that, again, these energies can work with us if we choose to see what they're bringing us. And it's way beyond, you know um, Western astrology. Like,
Oh, And I would say even Vedic astrology, and even in
Yeah.
my research, I've had both charts done. I've had Western astrology charts, I've had Vedic astrology charts, and
Yeah.
then, but when I tried to sort of overlap them, I mean, I'm not an expert astrologist, but when I tried to overlap them and look at them, they were like, well, one puts me at Sagittarius and the other one puts me at Aries. And I'm like, but those are almost opposites
Which
in the star constellations. And I'm like, how can that be?
which as you can think, it's like we are aspects of different, like the same thread,
Hmm.
different complementary, you know,
Ah,
ways of being.
okay.
So that's one way that we can look at these differentiations. But
Hmm.
also, what I was also, what came to me when I was kind of writing things down is, what if
Hmm.
we looked at these celestial beings and astrology, meaning astrology is just reading the energy. Let's just
Right.
say that. Uh, as looking at them as like chakras.
Mm.
So they're kind of, it's all connected into like our bodies and our major chakra systems.
Hmm.
So the energy, there's different energies in each chakra that we have to work with. There's emotions, there's intentions, and we can get pulled again on that same thread. We can get pulled to
Mm.
the lower aspects or the
Hmm.
higher aspects of a frequency.
Mm.
And I was like, ooh, need to explore this. But I just thought I'd mention that because it was like I can feel that in my body, how everything kind of matches up, considering when you look back at the systems, they're based on a sevenfold system. And how many, chakras, how many, so you can just really start doing the math.
Hmm.
Very
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, and I did some of the research on the Celts, and they
Mm,
actually have a 13 sign system, um, and a Celtic. I'm sorry, the Druids,
mm-hmm,
and the Celts,
mm-hmm,
um, and they even have their own system of astrology, and they call it the Druids' knowledge of Earth cycles. It's the Celtic tree astrology system,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
developed by the Druids' knowledge of Earth cycles and the profound connection with trees.
mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting. Um, this quote by Julius Caesar: the Druids were possessed of much knowledge of the stars and their motion, of the size of the world and of the earth, all natural philosophy. So, the Celtic tree astrology is an astrological system practiced by the ancient Irish, and the Druid symbol system, not of any of the traditional systems. So, their
Yep.
system was not the same as the Western, the Chinese, the Vedic.
Right.
Um, and the Celtic zodiac was drawn from the beliefs of the Druid based on the cycles of the moon. The year was divided into 13 lunar months
Right.
in
Which
each tree.
we've been cropped at too.
Well,
Well, right.
yeah. I mean, I've have always felt, and my body has confirmed the truth
Mm-hmm.
of this, that the 13, moon cycle, which, corresponds with, our moon time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of 13 cycles of 28 days is the original, more authentic cycle of the relationship between the moon and the earth.
Yep.
And that is really, more true. And I feel like with the Gregorian calendar, when it was introduced, and I'm not sure when that was that during the Roman time? And that has actually confused us.
Yeah.
It's confused our natural body's rhythms and cycles with the earth and the moon and the sun. And that when they do and also, these 12 cycles, and also, um, when we have these, daylight time, savings thing,
Saving.
it's
Correct.
just trying to keep our bodies, out of alignment with the natural rhythms and cycles of the celestial bodies and the earth.
Yes.
Um, And so it's been interesting because that's been coming up in my awareness lately, and my body, she's actually been shifting me in the last few weeks. I haven't been normally, I've always been a night person, not an early morning riser, even though I tried to be. And so now she's shifting me to, within an hour of the sun coming up, you need to get up.
Yeah.
Within an hour of the sun setting, you need to go to bed. And it is making a profound positive shift in my life. It's like, wow, I've tried to do this for so long, and now we're in this deeper connection with Mother Earth and the celestial bodies that I think is coming in for all of us,
Yep.
that we can tap into, that we can harness these energies and these natural rhythms of our celestial flow, maybe of our celestial tree.
Yes.
And it's making this positive impact on my health and my life in wondrous new ways. It's such a beautiful gift.
Yes. Yes. I think it's really intriguing, because if we look at how planets, what we call planets, but let's say celestial beings for the sake of this
Yeah.
this conversation, celestial beings were discovered. We have like 7, right?
Right.
So basically what has happened, though, if you look, and I'm going to mention a really interesting book. It's called The Twilight of Pluto. It was written by John Michael Greer, and this is what it looks like.
Oh, cool.
But the reason that I'm mentioning this is because what it actually, the interesting component of this was that it takes you through how Pluto actually has, well, planetary influences in general throughout all of time. And
Wow.
what's interesting is, when you think about this, again, getting back to these original blueprints of and templates, as we rip away these fake illusionary veils that were created by these negative beings, we start to be able to see these true energies. And also, there again, if we think of these planetary beings, and then all the star systems get broken into the signs, and go back as far as we can, like again with the Druid, which we'll talk way more about in this series for sure. But what we can get into is this aspect that essentially we're getting back in touch with energies that now we can utilize in almost all new ways. Because what we have to realize is that these energies also have been part of the evolution of our DNA.
Yes.
Which means it's cosmic technology. Because you can't tell the difference between magic and technology. Like, these words are kind of like intermingled. And the more that we go back, we can start to see that, we have some staples in our galaxy, planetary staples, but there's influences that wander in and out. And it's really intriguing that when you look at an arc of time, and when an influence of a specific planet, per se, like Pluto, for example, like
right,
its energy is waning. And so if it's waning, what happens in the post-Plutonian planetary experience, and how does that affect humanity? So these are some interesting things that, from an astrological perspective, is interesting to think about. Because basically, if I was looking back at some information around, okay, well, what does this even mean in terms of a planet or a star? Like, what are we really looking at? And if we go back far enough, it means wanderers. Wandering stars. So it's like they're wandering around the system to bring in angles, to bring in different aspects, angles of frequency into the human experience.
Wow. So, I really feel that as you're talking inside of me. It was interesting because I could see the celestial planets inside of my human body.
Yes.
And when you were describing that, thank you for that because it was really helping me to get into it's almost like take your birth chart and begin to maybe understand or go deeper into because everything is from the outers and the inner, right? But I think that we're in the evolution of our cosmic soul evolution, if you will, you know, working with our human vessel, um, it's like it's like a new discovery, it's like going deeper into understanding how these celestial energies are again showing up in our chart, but how are they showing up inside of our body fields and literally. And when you were talking, it was interesting because what could really see was almost like that you talked about the aspects of the celestial energies showing up as the tetrahedron inside the body. The tetrahedron is like the sacred chalice or portal or the beginning. It represents the beginning of all of life in the shape of a tetrahedron, I believe. And I was listening to David Wilcock the other day talk about that science is changing so rapidly, and I think we're going to see in our lifetime new profound truths coming into science. And he was talking about they're now beginning to see inside of our brain, just giving you an example of how this technology shows up inside of us. And they're seeing the brain differently now. They're seeing the brain as sacred geometry.
Yeah.
And I was just so like, yes, that is so cool that, these celestial bodies that are moving not randomly, they're moving in perfect divine synchronicity with the heavens to bring in these new truths of real, a higher level of science and even a new level of math.
Yes.
You
Like
know,
like metaphysics and physics on
mhm.
another scale, because
Yes.
we're missing the truth,
Yeah.
because obviously we have a materialism scientific view, which is dogmatic religion in my perspective. It's
Mhm.
become completely, um, it's basically a religion. And so if we move beyond these materialistic viewpoints and look at truth, that we're missing a lot of it.
Mhm.
I mean, vibrational frequency isn't even a factor in physics, in most,
Mm.
in the, like, if you look at it from a Newtonian standpoint. So we bridge metaphysics and physics, we truly get into cosmology, and that will change everything. Because I was in some of this research, and I went into all kinds of different places, far more than this episode could ever hold. But um, astrology is really writing of frequencies, which, if we think about frequencies are energy, but frequencies are also songs.
Mhm.
So in my learnings for the master herbalism program that I'm going through, we also are learning of the song of the plant. So everything has a song,
Yes.
and a specific way that it's bringing in that song. And so if we can think, I think the biggest thing that we can always do is we can always ask ourselves, how can we get more in tune with the song of all that is in any and
Mm.
every moment of our life. I mean, that can really change the perspective of looking at energies, looking at birth charts, looking at um, any kind of system that's based on DNA, like the I Ching, and looking at human design, looking at, I think those are interesting frameworks, but the frameworks usually miss the fact of human willpower and how we can
Mm.
change anything, because we are powerful alchemists of massive transformation. And if everyone can take their power back by just knowing that,
Mhm.
man, our everything would start to change, I think, faster. You know, the stove.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you 100% because I was just talking about this of my students in my heart womb class about you have really you in my opinion, in my, perspective, We have to begin to own our power again. We have to begin to take it back. And we have to begin to realize that we're not going to use that power to harm or abuse anyone. That we are ready to own our power, our sovereignty again. And that the important piece of that is that we have to really believe it. We have to start to believe it with every
Like, no.
fiber. We have to know it down to the into our bones, into the
Yes.
bone marrow, the blood of us. We have to really embody this truth that the human spirit, the human soul, and my guides were reminding me this a couple months ago, is more powerful, and that we are here to birth miracles,
Yeah.
and that we can shift and transform any frequency, any lower frequency to a higher frequency like that. But we have to believe it, and we have to own the power to to do that transformation again. And I think that's where we're headed. That's where we're going. And I believe, I loved what you said about the song of the plants, because I was shown this in 2016 that, I talk about when I teach Akashic Records, we all have our divine soul spark. But that spark is really what? It's a frequency, it's a vibration of sound and light. It's a song. It's a it's a song that only you can sing, and that you are known by divine mother, divine father in the universe. And I believe that we're all fine tuning that song frequency
Mm-hmm.
in the body, so that we can bring more of that soul song essence and begin to sing that essence into the world. That's what I get. And in my womb, actually about a year ago, when I was in North Carolina, one day, just it just sounds weird, but I get a lot of downloads when I'm driving my car, I guess, because I'm focused, and my guides are like, dump it in. And one day, I kid you not, my womb started to sing, and the song was coming up from my womb, coming up out of my mouth. It wasn't coming from here. It wasn't even coming from my heart. It was coming from my womb, and all kinds of beautiful melody and light language started pouring out. And she goes, "This is your soul song into the world, and begin to allow this to flow into the world." And it was bringing light. It was bringing light codes. It was bringing more of my, I would say, cosmic soul origin, and authentic signatures, authentic soul, song into the world. And that's what we're all here to bring, that frequency of our uniqueness and individual gift to the world. That is the gift.
That is,
You
you are the gift.
right.
Your mission
Yeah.
is the gift. Yeah.
That's right. We all have this beautiful, loving frequency within us, and we're here to sing it like
Yes.
a bird
Yes.
and when we do that, when we find that, and we can begin to acknowledge it and believe it and own it.
It's
That's the
own.
creational power
Yes.
right there.
Yeah. That is true magic manifest.
That
And
is.
that's actually, when I knew part of my mission and work was to help people, I call it tapping into their magic, tapping into the unique magic. That whole program, just flowed out of me, like, just like, I don't, so when you, again, that's what the beauty of working with energies does.
Yes.
The flow, the river, the eternal river within
Yes.
is something that you become more in sync with, which it changes the very fabric of not only our experience, but think about how that ripple effect helps everything around you. The awareness, the love, this, I mean, my husband calls me the oh, she's leaking again, because my eye, I'm always crying in, like, this, most often the joyful compassion, like this, your heart is so open that I see birds and I'm just crying, or
Yeah.
I look into the eyes of our animals and I just start crying, because
Yes.
the beauty is being reflected back.
Yes, the mirror. Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of times that the crying is also for, the hope and the desire for these this old energy and their density to break down faster, because they
Mm-hmm.
do hold us captive, whether we would
Yes.
like to admit it or not,
Yes.
right now. And so,
Yes.
there are days when we have to balance and harmonize with those energies, allow them to come through too. This isn't all love, light, and kitties and rainbows, even though we love all those things. It's like we have to look at the truth, because that's our
Absolutely.
truth together.
Our truth is so important. Absolutely. And finding your truth, your soul truth is, you know, to me is what leads you home. Yes, your heart is, the leader, your higher self, your heart, putting the ego in the back seat so it's not driving your vehicle, but allowing your heart, your higher self, even the wisdom of your womb, which is the seat of your soul. It's the seat of your consciousness, and it holds the blueprint. It holds, and within your blueprint, as it becomes activated, is the magic that you're here to bring to the planet. Very specific and unique to you. And we need everyone's magic today. We need everyone to step into, as best you can, into owning your magic on this planet, to own it now, and to, you know, make an intention, make a prayer to begin for that magic to reveal itself in your life and how it's going to show up in the world and how you're going to bring it, because it's all different for for each of us, right?
Yeah.
But it's all important because you're holding a puzzle piece to the new earth.
Yes.
That's how I see it. Is the new earth is rising through the cracks of the dissolving third dimensional earth, and as these, gaps open and these celestial energies are coming in to, as we're talking about, through the astrology, through the movement of the planets, like today with this very rare energy that I understand, this hybrid of, between Pluto and Aries. And this is a very special moment, and to not let it pass you by, to spend time today, tomorrow, and in the next few weeks, setting a new intention for a new beginning, and using this energy and inviting it to come into your life to help you to get clear how you're going to focus this energy, what is your action steps you're going to take to launch a new beginning and to own it more, and to believe it, to believe that you can do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And remember that. So one thing that the Arcturians, the Palladians, and the Syrians.
Mhm.
So the Syrians built the pyramid structures, and the way that they
Right.
did this was over a long amount of time. And what the first thing that they would look at is the astrology. Where are the
Mhm.
energies at right now? Which would then connect into the earth to see where should these be built. So the energies connecting into the energies of where, and then connecting into the energies of when should the projects for these big builds of pyramids, etc., be built. So you're looking at looking at days like today, looking at the energies in the astrological map and flow, of which Laura and I both have in our work, so on our websites and such. So when you look at it as being able to build a map, build things like the ancient builder race used to build things,
Mm.
with technology far greater, because magic is real. That there is no doubt. And
Right.
so if we look at it, building a map with the energies, working with the energies in this way, it may take us longer to do some things, but what happens is it's like you're always supported, right? And you're
Mhm.
doing things in this different light, because you're working with with cosmology, with astrology, with the framework of the universe that's here to support. It's when we, as this, I think we've been taught to do things. We got to do it now. We got to do it overnight. We got to do, there's this energy of like crazy energy to just get stuff done and like
Yeah.
work with the stars, the celestial beings. I get this vision of they're holding our hand as we step on stones across a lake. right? To get to some brighter, beautiful beginning.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that because I see the stepping stones a lot in my own visions and my pathway of a long time. My primary prayer was to my higher self and helpers, divine helpers, is keep me on that pathway of the highest, that spiritual pathway of the highest love, light, and truth for me. And I would see the stepping stones. And one of the things that comes to mind as you're talking about that, it is an inner balance between working with the cosmic celestial energies that we're talking about, with your astrology chart, with the current astrology going on, because there's an individual astrology, but there's a collective astrology
Yeah,
too.
right.
And like we're going through this major Pluto return in the United States that, as I understand it from the experts, that the setup is very, very similar to what it was 250 years ago when we went through, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence was being created and this country was being formed. But now I see that there's an up leveling of that energy. It's taking us to a higher, it's an evolution, if you will, of that energy to take this country to be reformed into even more, divine truths, I would say, being anchored into, whatever. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But what I do feel so strongly is we the people, this is where we take back our power, our sovereignty,
Yep.
and we don't have to do it in a, confrontational way at all. That I think you're speaking to, Natalie. It's an individual, private, individual journey that you're on. Not that you can't get support for it, but because we're all here to support each other too, because we all have blind spots. But it's just tuning into what are the new impulses. I call it impulsive energy, ideas of passion, of flow for this new beginning to step in, into your dharma, into your legacy. That's the new mission of the Aquarian age, as I understand it. It's not about, we're done with the karma and we've pretty much balanced enough that we can move into, per the law of one, we can move into our dharma, our new mission. And that shows up as, what's the desire of your heart? What's inside of your heart that you want to birth into the earth reality that is going to fill your cup, and the overflow goes out to the community, to lift, to rise, to shine your light literally into this earth, so that so many of us are turning on our inner lighthouse that
That
all of a sudden,
is matching.
wow, the new earth is born, and all these lighthouses all around the world, we're all connected, and we're all like, look at that one and that one and that one, and now, and look how beautiful. Look how that lighthouse is beaming out that soul song of light and love and frequency and enthusiasm and joy and passion and,
And imagine a world in
yeah,
balance again
in
with
balance and
cordial
peace.
energies of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which are
Absolutely.
not genders, which are energies.
It's,
It's a consciousness energy flow
yes,
within, and how we use that. And imagine all beings being
yes,
uplifted and supported, because that is
yes,
the druidic truth path that we have, brought into our work, because that is truth. Supporting
absolutely.
the higher good of all beings.
Absolutely. And it was the truth of the Essenes, the Essenes
Yes.
before the Druids. Same thing. There was a and this is really, you can attribute this to the example of Jesus, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene in their divine union, were reminding us and teaching us, that as creator beings holding Christ consciousness with our feminine and masculine qualities in balance,
Yeah.
and that they modeled that at 2000 years ago, to seed that remembrance, to seed in that vibration, that divinely inspired idea that, and this was something that actually was passed down, from the Essenes to the Cathars in France. And there was even a region in France before, in the early days, where it was the county of Orange, and they were living this. They were living where men and women were treated and seen as equals. They were seen as equals. They were both priests and priestesses. They lived that way for I don't know how long that period was, maybe 100 years, a couple 100 years, until the church came in and
Right.
started to do their thing on them. But it was a living energy that you can still travel to the south of France, and you can find this template seeded into the earth,
Yeah.
this template of truth, and those, I believe, exist all around the earth. Different civilizations, like you were talking about. We can go back to Lemuria, to Mu. The influences are still here, gridded into the planet.
Totally. And
And
many of us are being called into specific regions because mountains hold
yes.
truths. In fact, a lot of the work that Palladians did were on tops of mountains. So mountains
Mm,
carry this frequency, and so many are, that's why here in this Asheville area, many have been called here. You were called into the Sedona area because you have the rocks and you have the
mhm.
vibrations and the minerals, and so there's a reason for it all, a much higher reason.
Yes, and the synchronicities are, I have found that as I evolved on my own spiritual journey, that what I began to really pay attention to and appreciate and find, what is the word? I found a sort of safety net, if you will, almost in these synchronicities that kept occurring and occurring, that, my human mind could never foresee or even, predict, because it's an unknown in the mystery of the journey. And it does take this leap of faith. And today, with these Aries energies, to understand it, is you can use this energy today to catapult and take this positive leap into your timeline, and really leap forward today in a
Yes.
very positive and powerful way, that you just make like you said earlier, a free will choice, that I'm choosing to navigate life in a new, ascended way, from a higher perspective, from my highest perspective I can go at this time. And I choose to operate on the earth, with making new choices, new, decisions along that timeline. And, and I even was listening to an astrologer last night talk about that this is a shift in timeline today with this hybrid
Yeah, it's
solar
definitely
eclipse we're going through. Hmm.
yeah, and one thing to really think about, I think people that are drawn into work like this and into conversations like this, there's something to remember that in the law of one, the raw material that was brought through in the 80s, which is of a, for me, for many I know, a very positive, um, there was no distortions in it. Um,
Mm,
Negative distortions, but Ra as a collective spoke about wanderers, and it's interesting that the wanderers are, stars are also called wanderers in an ancient
yes.
etymology, and so six, wanderers are six density beings with a desire to serve, with a great deal of purity of mind and foolhardiness or bravery. So what I so a lens of this is an aspect of warrior, protectors, helpers, people here to be part
Hmm.
of this group, which they call the brothers and sisters of sorrow. So we move, wanderers move towards where help is needed. And obviously, this planet needs a lot of light, a lot of help to move towards, with the hope that more would move into the positive service to others, free will
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
More that we can pull without, so people aren't repeating third density or moving into a negative experience after.
Hmm.
How many people can awaken to their mission? So a new beginning can mean even stepping into your power and knowing of like, oh my God, I am a light warrior. Oh, I am a light worker. I am a wanderer. I am here to help. Okay, it's time to start.
It's time to start. And following your intuition is so key and so important. And that's one of the things that I teach, and help people with, is particularly through the Akashic record work, and is to begin to really deepen into trusting, your cosmic soul truth, right? Your higher self, your heart, because, and your body. I went from a multisensory channel, which I still am, to a full bodied oracle, and still on that journey. And it's a huge gift to give yourself, because then you can begin to discern. And as these higher frequencies come in, which are beneficial and here to support us, they're for us.
Yeah.
It can also be a time of where you're still sifting through these lower frequencies and letting those go, right? And beginning to navigate in a new way. It takes a lot of discernment to do that. And we're all, always fine tuning that sort of muscle of discernment.
Definitely.
And
because there's a lot of distortions that want to come in and
yes, a lot of distortions want to take you off track.
Yeah.
And they want to distract you. A lot of distraction energy, which is why I'm always telling my people, you have got to spend just 15 minutes a day grounding into Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Just 15 minutes a day.
Dig
because
those in, baby.
Oh yeah, because it keeps your circuit open.
Yeah.
If you're not grounding to the earth, you're becoming a closed circuit being again, and it impacts your health. Yeah. It greatly, I think, more than people know it. We're meant to connect with, that stream of our light, our love, our frequency, our soul song, all the way down into the pure heart womb of Mother Earth.
Yep.
And when we do that, you will feel a difference. You will feel a surge of positive energy. You will feel this energy of safety and calm and peace. Yeah. And in that energy, in the present moment, you can take that next step, that next action.
Yeah.
And I think this is the next couple years are going to be a crucial time for humanity, because we're now seeing the introduction of the thing that starts with an A and ends with an I. And as I understand it, and that a lot of us as starseeds, we came back from the future to this earth to shift the timeline for this earth out of that thing that I don't want to mention again, because that thing, can be used for positive. It can be used for good, or it can be used for adding to life, or it can be used for harming. And I do feel that is now becoming, kind of front and center for many of us as starseeds to begin to really be careful about how we're using that, or if we're using it in the context we're using it. Are we using it with the highest integrity? Do we really understand how it's being used, that energy? Is it really supportive in helping humanity, or is it harming? And is there like a separate illusionary agenda behind it? Yeah. And I think this is really important, because I'm here to represent as an embodiment, as a messenger and emissary for Divine Universal Mother, of the organic Universal Divine Mother, who's not inverted on the planet, right? And that's where these illusions come in and these distractions, because it's the inversion of the organic Mother's energies, the truth of raw love, of unconditional pure love, that gets distorted, that gets watered down.
Yeah. And and standing in the divine feminine energy and that power and bringing that through, it's fierce, and it's creation. So
yes,
there's aspects that again are in the warrior, and also in the creation loving way. So there's these complementary aspects to each energy. But I think that being mindful of time, closing on our last and final words here is just, if we there's no mistake in tapping into your unique magic came through, because if we all really see what our unique magic is, which most people don't want to, even, it's like they're afraid to admit. In my work, I see it every day. People are afraid to admit their power. They're afraid to admit their gifts, because they don't want to seem egotistical or but admitting your truth of what you're here to bring into the world is the very reason astrology, meaning the reading of the stars, the celestial beings, even it should exist, is because we, again, these are leveraging energies to uplift the very thing that we're here to do on our own organic, again, we're talking to the positive service to others pathway that's being chosen, not the negative service to self pathway. That's not what we're
Right.
talking about.
Yes. And I think that these tools, the astrology, whichever one you're guided to use, Western, Vedic, Chinese, Druid, um, are, to follow your intuition.
Yes.
Always follow your intuition in your heart, because you have to stay on your unique pathway of truth, which is individual to each one of us.
Yes.
I mean, we have the astrology as the celestial beings and planets that are guiding us individually, if we use it as a tool for the, in a positive,
Mm-hmm.
and for the collective, evolution. However, I would like to, on a final kind of note or comment, is that I have found myself, Natalie, moving even through these charts
Oh, yeah.
lately.
Yes.
I'm moving beyond my
As
own
you should.
astrology, my birth astrology, because in this particular lifetime, I feel that, just looking at my own experience, I have evolved on my soul growth so much that I outgrew my chart to a certain extent. I outgrew my human design chart.
And that's the point in so
Yeah,
many ways, is looking at the places that look like, oh, I'm hindered in this area.
right.
No, you're not.
You're not limited by that chart. No, you're not. It's there as a
So,
tool.
yeah, look at those points and be like, oh, that's what I need to break through. That's what I need to break
Exactly.
through. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, or I feel it's really important to help to guide and support, each person, each one of us, to again believe in your own magic.
Yes.
Believe in your magic. Your magic is your higher self, your heart, your womb, which is the seat of your soul consciousness, and for the deepest level of intuition you can have is when you harness that at the level of your womb, which
Yeah.
is really a cosmic portal and stargate. It's much more than just a little organ here that we've
And
been
by the way,
conditioned to.
we're speaking to all genders here. Remember,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for women and men,
belly
because
button is a portal.
it's a portal. And men also have a cosmic womb as well on the soul level,
Yep.
not just women. So it's for both men and women.
Yeah.
And to begin to tap into that magic, because that magic goes
You're selling my
directly.
program here, Laura.
Yeah, but it goes directly to your connection to your cosmic origins, your celestial soul origins, right?
And
And that's what your program helps with as well, is the people to tap into that while being rooted in your earth vessel.
the body, like, and that's a
Yeah.
big piece of your work. It's rooting. It's like we as bridges bridge science, not this materialistic world science, like real
No.
science,
Yeah.
metaphysics,
Yeah.
and with spirituality. So it's really,
Hmm.
we are the bridges, as
Yeah.
to circle back to the beginning when we said that. So I guess we are closing for today.
Yay! All right. What a wonderful conversation. So much good, I think, information here for people to go and tap into, and let us know what you think. I'd love for people to share their comments, what they experienced through the call, their inspirations, I mean, because we're all teachers, we're all way showers, we're all equal. We all have our divine gifts and perspectives, and it's important to recognize and, right,
Bring
kind
that
of
forward.
mirror that in each other.
Yeah.
I always like to say mirror it, not validate it, but mirror our greatness, our light, right, within us, that we all are shining forth.
Yes, exactly. Thank you again for joining us in this episode. And until next time, thank you, Laura.
Thank
Always.
you, Natalie. Be well
Mwah.
to everyone. Bye bye for now.
Bye.
Take care.